Alright guys, we're diving into another MXA tested video. This time, we're breaking down the 2021 GasGas EX350F. The GasGas brand was bought by the KTM Group in 2019, and its first run of new models were for the 2021 season. Similar to when KTM bought Husqvarna, GasGas didn't have every model of dirt bike for its first year. Two of the popular models that GasGas left out were the 250 two-stroke and 350 four-stroke motocross version. Now that the 2022 models have been announced, we know that GasGas has added these two bikes to their lineup, but prior to this, the only 350 GasGas you could get was an EX350F cross-country version. After spending 5 months with this bike, we're excited to share all we've learned about it in this week's video. When it comes to cross-country models, typically brands like Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda, Husqvarna, and KTM will take their motocross version, change over a few parts, and make it a hybrid off-road motocross bike. So what did GasGas do to make the EX350F a cross-country bike? There are three major points here. First, it has a wide ratio 6-speed gearbox instead of the standard 5-speed transmission. Second, it has an oversized 2.25 gallon fuel tank instead of a standard 1.9 gallon tank. And third, it has an 18-inch rear wheel instead of a 19. When comparing the EX350F to KTM's 350 XCF cross-country bike, the differences are minor, however they are different. The GasGas has red and white plastics, the seat foam is softer, and the cover isn't as grippy as the KTM. The GasGas doesn't have a map switch, it doesn't have a resonance chamber on the exhaust mid-pipe, and it doesn't come with an hour meter. The GasGas also has forged aluminum triple clamps instead of the CNC machined billet clamps, and it has solid bar mounts instead of KTM's rubber damped bar mounts. Additionally, the overall price of the 2021 EX350F retails for $9,999, which is $700 cheaper than the 2021 KTM version. Diving into the specifics, compared to the 5-speed motocross gearbox, first gear is lower on the EX350 than on the motocross model. Second gear is slightly taller, and we found that gear to be very versatile on the off-road and on the track. Third gear was much taller on the EX than it was on the comparable 5-speed gearbox, which meant that there were a few situations on a motocross track where you really had to clutch the engine to get it to pull third gear. Fourth gear was a lot taller, as was fifth, and sixth gear was not usable on a motocross track, but the Bonneville salt flats are definitely a possibility. The wide ratio gearbox is great for off-road riding, both slower eastern events and wide open western events. The 6 gears enable the bike to be ridden up steep, rocky trails in first gear and hit ultra fast speeds in 6th gear. When testing the cross-country bikes, we always try to set them up for motocross and figure out how the bike would work for someone who wants to race it on the track one weekend and race it off-road the next weekend. For motocross use, we swapped out the stock 1451 sprocket ratio for a lower 1452 and an even lower 1350 ratio to tighten up the gearbox and make it a little bit easier to get into that third gear. As for the oversized fuel tank, we were happy to have it on this bike because we've seen other cross-country models like the Kawasaki X models that don't come with a big tank, and it's really confusing how you could call it a cross-country bike without that extra fuel. The 2.25 gallon translucent off-road gas tank looks kind of bulbous on the left side of the bike, but we were surprised that it didn't bother us on the track. As for the 18-inch rear wheel, this was actually the standard for motocross bikes back in the day, but our industry switched over to 19-inch wheels because of Supercross. On the hard, compacted dirt inside stadiums with banked 180-degree turns, the sidewalls on the 18-inch tires would roll over. Additionally, in the cupped-out whoop sections, the larger air volume of the 18-inch tires would bounce. The tire companies designed a low sidewall, low-volume tire for the demands of a Supercross track. Of course, once the factory guys started running 19-inch rear wheels, the local riders wanted them also, and production bikes soon had them all across the board. The only riders who didn't switch to 19-inch rear wheels were off-road riders, because they loved the plush feel of the taller sidewalls, the larger footprint it has, and the added suspension travel of a rear tire that can squish under a load. The MXA test riders like the 18-inch rear tires for most local races, but they only come stock on enduro and cross-country bikes. All right, so how did the GasGas EX350F handle? Well, MXA test riders across the board have complained at one point or another about the GasGas front end oversteering coming into corners. Initially, we chalked this up to the soft front suspension diving under braking, which led us to try upping the air pressure in the forks. That didn't work, so we looked to the Maxxis MX ST front tire and switched it out with our standard Dunlop GeoMax MX33 tire, but this didn't fix it either. Then we thought maybe the head angle was too steep, so we slid the forks down on the triple clamps and kicked out the angle, but we still didn't like this feel at the turn-in either. After running through our list of options, we learned from the WP test department that the GasGas clamps need to be torqued to 20 Newton millimeters on top and 15 on the bottom, instead of 17 and 12 like the billet KTM clamps. Just like that, our oversteering issues disappeared. The only riders who don't love the suspension on the 2021 GasGas EX350F are fast guys. But even our pros were impressed with the bottoming capabilities of the suspension. These off-road valve forks are more than capable of navigating a motocross track. Compared to the 2021 KTM 350XCF version, this bike is $700 cheaper, it's pickier with torque specs at the triple clamps, and it's a little bit slower in throttle response due to the closed-off airbox. Luckily, UFO Plastic makes side number panels with a vented airbox cover just like the KTM one that you can buy for $62.99 to let your GasGas breathe. Comparing the GasGas EX350F to some of the other cross-country models we've tested, this bike is definitely more tailored to the off-road rider who wants that wide ratio gearbox, but still works great on the motocross track, especially if you adjust the gearing all around. So that's all for the 2021 GasGas EX350F. Thanks guys for tuning in. Check out motocrossactionmag.com for more of what the MXA Wrecking Crew is up to, more bike tests that we've done, videos, product tests, race results, latest news going on in the industry, and more. And click the subscribe button and hit the notification button on our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with our latest videos and the videos that we got coming to the channel here shortly. Also, if you have some more time, click the video thumbnails now to see some of our more recent videos.